welcome to my gallery. I'm Tim Packer.
And I'm Brooke Cormier.
So we're coming back for another episode of the Mentorship program. And this one is not going to be so much about catching up with what's gone on. This is going to be about what's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So Brooke is going to be having, this will be your first gallery show at my gallery coming up in a couple weeks. And we're having our meeting to go over the details. And I thought this would be a really good opportunity kind of for a teaching moment, because there's a lot of things that you really want to know the answers to and have both the artist and the gallery owner on side before a show happens. Because the worst thing is after a show, all of a sudden there'd be disputes about, well, I thought I was getting this or this was happening. So laying it all out beforehand is a good way to go.
Mm-hmm.
So before we start talking about that kind of stuff, I also want to talk about this is kind of an experiment for me. And this is I was thinking about this is a really good opportunity for kind of an experiment for you too, because the paradigm has shifted very much because of social media, right? So in the old days, it was like, a gallery would represent you, and after about a year of you being at the gallery, maybe you might get a solo show, or it might even take longer, and then the galleries would charge typically 40 to 50%. And that was the way things worked for years and years and years. And the reason for it was that the galleries had access to the people. The galleries were the ones that would bring people in to buy your work. That has all changed now. Now, some galleries still do have that, but you're in a situation, you have how many Instagram followers now? 130 something. Yeah, so 132,000 Instagram followers. I'm going to check, hopefully by the end of this episode, I will have 9,998. And I feel I'm doing pretty good. But having an audience of over 130,000 people, that brings a whole new kind of dynamic to the power balance between an artist and a gallery. And then on Facebook, you passed me on there too. I had you for a while, but what are you now, 20-something thousand there?
Yeah, 20-something.
So just in general, what I was thinking, like, you are not going to ever, I don't think, fall into kind of what has been the traditional model of an artist working with a gallery. But what I was thinking about while I was getting ready for today's meeting is what you're doing here with me, that may in fact be kind of down the road the way that things go. So where you just come into a gallery and you're there for 2 weeks, but you bring all of your Instagram influencer kind of to the table, and you're just there for a 2-week period or whatever, and then you're gone. And so there's no commitment for you from the gallery. But what you do is, what you bring to the table is the potential to bring a lot of people into the gallery. And so then the question comes down to, well, what's that worth, and how many people can you bring to a gallery? And it's like, well, we're going to find out, right? So we are not doing the 40 to 50%. That's the other thing too. And that's not because I'm mentoring you. It's not because I'm mentoring you and because I want to give you a break. It's actually because I think you do bring a lot of value to the table, and I want to make this attractive for you. And I also, again, I really think this may be a dynamic that you take this show on the road. Who knows where, right? And that opens up the whole world to you. So I was thinking, so we talked a little bit about the percentages before, but we didn't really talk about the specifics of costs. So I thought I've got 2 options that I'd kind of like to discuss. So the one option would be that I take a 20% commission, so you get 80%, but then we split some of the costs. And then the other option is I pay for everything and take 25%.
Okay.
And so
what are the costs that related to running like a
show?
Week show?
Yeah. So we have, first of all, we have to get a liquor license. We're going to do an opening on a Friday night. So it's the liquor license, and then the actual wine and food. The transaction fees for all sales, because we're gonna be doing everything through Square, so that takes like a couple percent off the top. The advertising costs, any shipping costs, if there are any, and in terms of delivery and that type of thing. And also just promotional stuff, like we'll be printing a big banner to go in the front window. And so the way I figure it out is, that it probably, all in, the costs are going to be somewhere between $500 and $1,000. And that depends on how, because the advertising costs, the part of that would be boosting posts, right? So then it would be, if we want to split costs, then I will do posts on mine and boost them, and you would do those on yours and boost them, but that would come out of your pocket. If I'm paying all the costs, then I would set up a budget for you to boost your post, but I would pay for all of that. So you have no upfront kind of liability or whatever, depending on how the show goes. And at a certain point, I think it would be probably around somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000 in overall sales would be the tipping point for me, where it's kind of the 25% actually works out better. But if it's that 10 to 15,000, then it's kind of a wash, or if it's less, then it would work out better for you to do the extra 5%. So that's, you don't have to give me an answer right now, but so we can talk about that after, and you can sit down and kind of look at it. But I think that's fair. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about too, is when you're dealing with a gallery, and this is for everybody out there too, you wanna deal with it where everybody wins. I've dealt with the galleries that I'm with now, the 3 that I've stayed with. They're very much about wanting us both to win. And then also sometimes if it's a long-term relationship, sometimes it's more important that your needs come first, and sometimes it's more important that the gallery needs comes first. And what you want is a relationship where there's that give and take, where it's all about, in the long run, we all want to win. I've dealt with some galleries, and there are a number out there where the gallery always wants to win. They want to win on every single of these kind of things going through, and that's a bad place to be in. It isn't. And eventually, no matter how successful, I was with one that was very successful, they sold a lot of work, but at the end of the day, you just get tired of always being the one to kind of give in so that they get the advantage. So that's what we're gonna do, and then I'm really excited to see how this works, because it's kind of like, I don't know, I have no idea how many people you are gonna bring into the gallery.
I don't know either.
Right?
The thing is like on Instagram you can check and see like your demographics and everything, and like where all your followers are from, and actually my biggest following is from the United States. So that's like, it's good because I can ship there, no problem in that, but for things like this, I'm kind of like, I don't know. But I've also talked to like a few of my customers who like would be willing to actually come from the States, like if they're in like, bordering states, obviously. But so I guess it's going to be interesting to see. It is, like,
and also I'm in a different situation than most galleries too, because most galleries make all their money off the sales of their artists. So doing a 20%, for a 20% kind of ongoing, no gallery would ever kind of stand for that. But I make all of the money so far has been on sales of my work, where I get 100%. So it's very attractive to me to offer to take a smaller piece of the pie, but to potentially have a whole different audience to come into the gallery and see the work, and they may buy my stuff while they're here too, right? So I think that's either one of those options, and I'll leave it up to you which one you want to take. I think is fair for both of us.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when it comes to things like prints, like I know obviously originals and stuff, whatever sells here, but if like I would like to maybe put like my hand embellished daisy print up on display, and so does it work that if for example I get maybe a few orders on that, are you going to be taking commission off of the orders that I get from the gallery?
So that's exactly why we need to have this meeting. Right? Because that's one of those things, you don't want to have that come up on the 3rd day of the show so what I would say is that any transaction that takes place here in the gallery,
Okay.
I get 20%.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
And anything that happens online, that's you.
Okay.
And then, because then, so yeah, let me get my list here, because there's a lot of things to go through, but that's a perfect example of why, and that's great, but you need to know all this stuff. You don't want it to come out in the middle of a show where it can really put a sour taste in what might be a really successful evening, right? So one of the questions I have too, like I would like as much as possible as well for you to be here and actually working on stuff, because then that's going to create the draw not only on the opening night but on the other days as well. So you're up for doing that for most days, and we can talk specifically
what days
and but there will be somebody here with you all the time too, so you will never be here by yourself. And then we have to talk about the Sunday too for the first weekend. So we're opening on Friday the 5th. So typically I'm closed Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So then the question is, and that's just because 52 weeks of the year, Sundays are generally one of the slowest days. But when you're having a show, weekends in general can be very good when people only have like an 8-day or 9-day window to get in here. So the question is, do you want to open on Sunday as well? Now that's the Sunday of Thanksgiving, but Monday is the actual holiday.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So usually you're closed from Sunday.
Usually we close Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Initially I was open. So when I did the pop-up galleries. So when I only had a show for like a week, I would open Saturday, Sunday, and Saturday and Sunday were the busiest days.
Okay.
But what I found once we opened the gallery with permanent hours, then Sunday was very slow.
Okay.
So my thing is I always err on the side of, better to be here and have nobody show up than to close and you could have had 20 to 30 people here, right? So
alternatively, would you still keep it closed for 3 days of the week, and instead, if we wanted to keep it open Sunday, we would close Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
No, we would just close Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, okay, just Monday, Tuesday.
Just Monday, Tuesday.
Oh,
So that's the thing. I personally am kind of leaning towards opening on the Sunday.
Because
the opening weekend is a big thing, and even though it's like Thanksgiving is a holiday weekend, often unless people have family far away, people tend to stay home. So if they're local, chances are if we give them Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, people that are really eager to kind of get here and get first look at stuff, then they'll be able to do it one of those 3. And all of this stuff too, we don't have to actually come up with the answers now. But these are the kinds of questions. And so then we also get into commissions. So if you're typically working with a gallery and somebody comes into the show, and while you're there, they commission something, then the gallery gets a percentage off that. Now again, you're in a different position because there's a very good chance that people are coming in here to see you. It's not, I'm bringing them here and then my clients are buying your work, right? It's more likely that it's there's actually gonna be some of that, because I do have a lot of people who are excited about your show that are my clients. But so what I would suggest is, and again, it's open for discussion. So if people come and they want to commission something off you and they'd like you to do a painting, and because you're going to be here working, if you complete the piece here during the show and the piece sells before the end of the show to the people, then I would expect a commission. But if it's stuff that you do after the show, or even if someone says to you like, hey, we're really interested in this, but we're not really interested in having the piece until December or anything like that, then that's yours. I don't want any piece of any future work you do. I only want a piece of whatever we sell at the gallery and whatever you complete here at the gallery. And so then that's
And you have gone through similar things like that before with your gallery contracts, where people would commission you from your work in the gallery, and then the gallery would ask for a commission off of your commission.
I've had situations, again, with a certain gallery that always wanted to win, where I sent them a client. A client contacted me that wanted to buy a $12,000 piece that was on my website. And I said, that's at this gallery now that I just started showing with. So send an email to the gallery owner, copy to him, you have to speak to them. sent them a $12,000 sale, and then a year or two later, this person commissioned a piece off me again, directly through me, and that gallery thought they should get a piece of that commission because it was their client. And it's like, that's not your client, that's my client.
How did they even find out about it?
Because when they invited him to a show, he said, oh, I already bought a piece off Tim this summer and my budget for art is done. And so then they contacted me and said, like, where's our commission? That started the slippery slope we went down. And very quickly after that ended up in me leaving that gallery, right? And again, that's a case of the gallery always wanting to win. I could have very easily said to that client, I'll get that piece to you in 2 weeks, and I could have gone and switched it out for another piece and gotten the whole thing myself. But it's like, no, I want to support the gallery, but then the gallery needs to support you too. Know that they don't always get to win. And this gallery thought that they should always get to win. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it in terms of the cost. Oh, the G-Clays. So what I thought would be so now we have to talk about, so the show's going to consist of originals and G-Clays. So I think it's really important that, well, we can go over exactly which ones, but I think as much as possible having an example of everything here. Unless there's certain ones that you just say, you know what, we haven't sold any of these and I'm going to take it out of the rotation or whatever. I think it's important that we, again, have an example of everything here. And then we just take orders. We don't take stuff off the wall. And then I think the same thing for the originals. That I typically like it when originals go, because sometimes if it's a piece that everybody loves, once it's sold, they don't look at anything else. But I think, especially with this being your first show, that you want people who come a week after the show opens to see the full thing. You don't want them to come and see 2 originals and just G-Clays because all the originals have gone. And also there's a good chance if you've got the originals here, that tends to generate commission sales too, where people either because a piece is sold or they see a piece and they go, oh, I'd like something bigger or different size or whatever.
And also with the size of my inventory right now, I don't know if I'd be able to get enough work in here to replace the stuff that is sold.
Well, I know, that's right. I don't want people coming in here to see 2 of your paintings on the wall and just saying, well, we had a really good weekend. I mean, that's great.
And so then after, so say for example, some pieces sell and then we keep them here and then we would have to like ship them after. Because that client may have been from far away.
Well, and what I would say too is if it's someone, again, we take everything on a case-by-case scenario, but if it's someone who is here, but it's like they live in California, I say let them take it. Right?
Okay.
But again, just because when you get into the cost of shipping and just all that, and sometimes too the person just really, really wants to take it, and if you don't let them, you lose the sale. So what we always do is we say we're asking people to leave stuff here, but again, or someone may say, well, this is a gift from my mother and it's her birthday tomorrow, right? But so everything sort of has to be flexible, but in general, if it's going to be like exorbitant shipping costs, or just that person has some urgency, then we let it go. And there usually is some of those, but most people are quite content, and especially if people are local, then we can
just
deliver it, or they can come to people are usually quite happy to come to the gallery to pick it up. But that's again those kind of questions. You want to make sure you know all that. So then for the printing, so we do all of Brooke's printing. We actually got some here for you today. So what I also suggest is we'll just do all of the printing, all of the stretching, and then when the show's over, you can pay us for that out of the sale. So you don't have to put up the upfront cost of paying for, it's probably going to be a fair bit, right, to do one and everything. So we'll front all the costs, and then you can just pay us after the show. And then same with as orders come in, then we'll, so if the piece that you have here, once it's sold, that's good, we've got that. But if more orders come in for that, then Cameron will just do the printing and the stretching over the course of the show.
Awesome.
And, okay. Oh, this is kind of important too. So because we're gonna do a Friday night kind of try and do like a bit of a fancy opening. We're gonna have wine, and we need a special occasion permit for the liquor. And the way the laws are up here, that can only be by invitation, and you can't advertise to the public.
Okay.
So that then gets into a kind of a tricky thing. Well, how do we do that? And so you have a newsletter list, right? How many people are on your newsletter?
Almost 300 now.
Okay, so that's good. I've got 1,300, so I beat you. So.
Yep.
So the way that what we've been doing for our paint-alongs, where again it's only by invitation, is we send out to the newsletter the fact that we are having a show and you are invited, and then that they must RSVP.
Okay.
And then we have a list, and only the people on the list get in the door, so that way it's not open to the public. But we can advertise in advance. So what you can say, and what I would suggest, kind of starting kind of now, is that, and I'm going to be doing that too. So we're having the show coming up in just over 2 weeks. We're going to have an exclusive invitation-only Friday opening. If you would like to be invited to this, you need to subscribe to my newsletter. That's also a really good way of building your newsletter list, right? Yeah. And it's going to be built good. And so the people that sign up are also people who are going to be local, which is good because that's what you want. And then you send out, typically, send out about a week before, send out the newsletter, about the show, and just RSVP. And same with if they're bringing guests, let's say they're welcome to bring guests, they just need
to let us know.
Let us know. And so the other thing you may find, and I've had this happen before, where a gallery wants to email the invitation to your list. No, you don't ever give up your I think you're actually now by law, you're not allowed to give out the contact info. But yeah, so
why?
for those
Because the
person signs up,
didn't consent to
exactly.
that.
They only signed up for your newsletter.
Yeah.
They didn't consent for you to give their information to someone else. But I know like galleries, and I've had galleries ask me that, well, we'd like your list to send. It's like, no, I'll send it out and I'll give you a list of names that are coming.
Yeah.
Now, once they come in the gallery, I will give them the opportunity for signing up to my newsletter.
Right.
But don't ever give your subscriber information to a gallery or anyone else. That's the one thing that you've developed that, and that's very important, because all of a sudden they can kind of take over your clients.
Right.
And you don't want that.
Don't want that.
And
so for the RSVPs and everything, like how much are we looking at, like for opening night, that would be a...
Well, we do, so basically, there is a cutoff point. And at a certain, again, depending on how fast and furious the RSVPs come in, we may have to, at a certain point, just say that's it. I'm not sure exactly what that is. I actually have to look into the, there's probably something with this space that it's kind of approved for X number of people. But yeah, that's a good thing. Right?
Yeah.
If we basically get enough RSVPs that it's like, okay, we're gonna have to cut it there, then that's great, because that just makes...
That's a lot of people coming.
Well, that's good. There's a lot of people coming, but for people that didn't RSVP, that means then the next time you have an event, they know, boy, we better get our name in quick, right? I always feel that way too when people show up, or they come to the show and they almost buy a piece, and then they go away and they come back 4 days later and it's sold. It's kind of like, well, I bet next time.
Yeah, they're gonna...
You'll buy.
Yeah.
So also for this, so we're having a group show that you're going to be a part of later in November, and I already mentioned for that for the opening, we don't want kind of family and friends and all that. That does not apply for this. This is your first big show, so by all means, your mom and dad, your grandparents, friends of your parents, friends, even people who have no expectation of buying, I'd say get them on the list first, because this is a big deal for you, and I know how proud of your family and friends and that are, so you want to kind of enjoy that. With the group show, the reason I say that is there's going to be like 9 artists. If they all bring 5 people,
then
that's 50 people without any clients being here. And then, and so then I thought we would hang the show on the Thursday.
Okay.
So that
right before the weekend.
Yeah, Thursday before the show. So the show opens on Friday.
The show. Okay, yeah.
And so on Thursday, that's when we'll come in and we'll hang your work, and then we rearrange kind of the whole gallery, and that gives us all of Thursday plus part of Friday to whatever.
Set up,
But so Friday should be, you don't want Friday to be a
Yeah.
scrambled day and then
No.
having to get home and get showered. And so, yeah, like so if you come here Thursday, and we can probably come out to your house and pick up work if need be too, or even pick it up from Gus's,
Right.
from being stretched and bring it here, then you shouldn't have to come here Friday until the opening. And we'll look after all the tags, everything.
Okay,
everything
yeah,
like
that's
that.
what another question I had was the tags.
So we'll do all that. You just give us the
Just-
information,
okay.
and then we'll do all that. So okay, Cameron, you want to pick up the camera. So let's talk about where and how we're gonna set things up. So we've got a few options here. I thought this might be a really good wall for your G-clays.
Okay, yeah.
For this front area, so that when people walk in, they immediately see the G-clays. And that we could, so again, depending on, like, how many do you have?
G-clays?
Yeah, how many total are there?
Well, see, the thing is I don't think I'm gonna be putting any of like my food prints in.
Oh no?
Or maybe I would.
There's
I
a
don't
lot of
know.
interest in, yeah, I think so, because I
Okay.
get a lot of people comment on that.
Yeah,
for
okay,
sure.
so then maybe I will do the food prints.
Yeah, I think you should. Like I said, I think we should, unless there's, because they've all been popular too,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, yeah, I think we should do kind of pretty much everything.
Okay. So then I would say like, because I have a bunch of small food prints too, and
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So I guess in total it would be around like 15.
Okay, so we could even do kind of like this and even clear out all of my stuff from this front area and have this whole kind of front area G-clays. And we'll do it, so with my work, because we have a ton and it's hung kind of salon style, we'll kind of open things up a little more for your work. And then for the originals, then the question is, where do we, now typically I do originals on the back wall because that's, right when you walk in here, that's kind of the space.
Yeah.
So I would kind of suggest, again, depending on how many you have, even opening up kind of the end wall here across, and again, we'll kind of hang them more, each piece having its space, so we'll spread it out a little more, and I'll also rehang my stuff so that whatever I have here is not stacked 3 high, because that can be kind of overwhelming and detract from yours.
Okay.
So we'll rehang the whole gallery and do it more like you would do it. This is the way we hang it, just because we want to show as much as possible.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't hang it this way if I was like doing a 1-week show in the gallery. So we'll kind of spread everything out so the works have more room to move or to breathe.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, because the other option is you could have the whole kind of, in here. I just think though it's nice when people walk in, as soon as they walk in, they see your pieces right there first thing.
Yeah.
And then come in here.
I think that's good. A good layout. Originals here, G-clays in
Yeah,
here.
and that makes it clear to people too that they're separate. You can just say the front room G-clays and then the back here is originals.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay. Well, any questions?
I think I'm like processing everything, but I think.
Yeah, I mean, and we'll deal with, if anything comes up, we'll deal with it kind
Yeah.
of as it goes along. But I think this was a really good opportunity for people out there too. There's a lot to think about, right? I'm glad you already had started thinking about that. Like, what if this happens? What
Yeah.
happens? Because I've been there. It's not comfortable when in the middle of the show something happens and you're assuming, okay, well that's something I have, and then the gallery owner says, oh, I get a piece of that too, and you're like, well, we never discussed that, and that's the point,
Yeah.
right? We never discussed it.
Yeah.
So you really just want to hammer out as much as possible before the show, every sort of contingency, and that way everybody's happy at the end of the show, nobody gets any surprises. Okay?
Great.
Good. And then after the show, Brooke and I are heading up north to Batchewana Bay on Lake Superior for
Yes.
a few days on a hiking, painting, etc. trip. So that's going to be exciting too.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. We're good. So I'm Tim Packer,
And I'm Brooke Corbett.
and we thank you for your time. We'll see you next time.